Elections 2024 on WION World is One.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is One.
Welcome back. You're watching World DNA with me, Raisha Sehgal. There's lots lined up on the show, but first, a quick check on the headlines. Gaza Civil Defense Agency says overnight Israeli strikes at a refugee camp near Jabalia kills 33 people. Death toll could rise as several people are believed to be trapped under the rubble. Russia and Ukraine carry out new exchange of prisoners of war, with each side bringing home 95 prisoners in an agreement in which the United Arab Emirates acted as a mediator. South Korea's spy agency claims North Korea has shipped 1,500 special forces troops to Russia's Far East for training at local military bases and will likely be deployed for combat in the war in Ukraine. Donald Trump says he will impose additional tariffs on China if Beijing goes into Taiwan. In a Wall Street Journal interview, says that US will not have to use force against Chinese blockade on Taiwan, as it will never come to that. Canada says the remaining Indian diplomats in the country are on notice as tensions between the two countries escalate over the allegations of Indian involvement in the killing of Sikh separatist leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Bangladesh's law advisor says former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina should be extradited if India obeys the extradition treaty. Comments comes hours after International Crimes Tribunal issues arrest warrants against Hasina. A man arrested in Tokyo for throwing several suspected petrol bombs at the ruling party headquarters just over a week before elections. Police say no one was injured. Police probing the incident. London-bound Vistara flight from New Delhi diverted to Frankfurt following a bomb threat. Airline says the flight landed safely at Frankfurt Airport, will continue to its destination once cleared by the security officials. And our top focus is what is happening in West Asia at this point of time, a day after Israel claimed the responsibility of killing Hamas chief Yahya Sinwar. The Israeli military released a video. It is said to show the moment a tank fired at a building where Sinwar was found. The IDF said that the elimination of the Hamas chief followed several months of operations against the Palestinian militant groups Rafah Brigade and the Tal al-Sultan Battalion. As Hamas mourned the death of its leader, it vowed not to release the hostages seized during its October 7th attack on Israel until the Gaza war ends. And that's the clear ultimatum given by Hamas to Israel. However, undeterred by Hamas's warning, IDF has stepped up its offensive in Gaza. At least 33 people were killed in strikes that hit several buildings in Jabalia, which is the largest of the refugee camps in the Gaza Strip. In a release, the Hamas-run Gaza government media office said that the death toll from the strikes could rise because some people were believed to be trapped under the rubble. While Israel continues its assault on Gaza, it has now announced more military deployment to the north of the Gaza Strip, that is along its border with Lebanon. This, as the Lebanese group Hezbollah said it launched drones at an Israeli military base in the center of the country on Friday, in an attack which Hezbollah says is dedicated to the group's slain leader Hassan Nasrallah. IDF Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi has told the commanders that Israeli forces have killed some 1,500 Hezbollah operatives so far. That is, since Israel stepped up its assault on the Lebanese terror group. Meanwhile, Houthi supporters held portraits of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar and Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah. And they also chanted slogans during a rally in Sana'a in support with Gaza and Lebanon. Houthi said that they targeted a ship which they named Megalopolis in the Arabian Sea with drones, without specifying a date. Houthi militants in Yemen have carried out nearly 100 attacks on ships crossing the Red Sea since November last year. Again, they've said that all these attacks, they are in support with Hamas and Hezbollah and against Israel. Well, the war in Gaza is taking a catastrophic toll on children. Time and again, UN has said that there is no safe place in Gaza. The agency says that 1 million children are living in hell on earth, with around 40 children being killed daily in the Gaza Strip. Palestinian Health Ministry says that at least 14,000 children have lost their lives so far. Now, the children in the Strip have been exposed to the traumatic experiences of war, the consequences of which will last a lifetime.
Hundreds of thousands of civilians are again being given evacuation orders to leave the north. Indeed, when you reflect on the current situation, the best feeling to describe it is déjà vu, but with even darker shadows. Children have lived this nightmare before. It was hell a year ago. It's even worse today.
UN says about 9 in 10 of Gaza's population are estimated to have been internally displaced. Half of them children. They do not have enough access to water, food, and medicine, basic essentials. Their homes have been destroyed, their families torn apart. Many children have been displaced multiple times since the war started. A year ago, UNICEF had already warned that Gaza had become a graveyard for thousands of children. Just last December, the agency had declared Gaza the most dangerous place in the world to be a child. Moving on, a Russian missile has struck a residential district in Ukraine's Black Sea port of Odessa. A 3-story building had sustained damages along with 10 other private homes. Well, Odessa and other port facilities in the region have come under increased Russian attacks in recent weeks. But Russian President Vladimir Putin says that Moscow needs to secure conditions for a lasting peace in Ukraine, which he says would help ensure Moscow's long-term security.
Нам нужны условия долгосрочного, устойчивого и прочного мира, обеспечивающие равную безопасность для всех участников этого непростого процесса. И вот именно к этому мы и должны стремиться.
Putin also asserted that Russia will not allow Ukraine to obtain nuclear weapons, saying that the possibility of Kiev doing so is a very dangerous provocation. But the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has responded, reaffirming that Ukraine is not going to create any nuclear threat to the world. Zelensky also spoke about Western support for Kiev, claiming that Ukraine will be receiving financial aid packages from the US every 2 to 3 weeks.
Це є частиною також плану, що ми будемо отримувати дуже швидко, зараз раз на 2-3 тижні може бути, отримувати пакет, який буде посилювати нашу армію. Деталі не буду говорити, тому що не маю права на це, але ви будете бачити потім деталі, пакети будуть, я думаю, великі.
US President Joe Biden has also reinstated that Washington is going to stand with Ukraine. Speaking to reporters in Berlin, Biden said that the US is going to make sure that Kiev continues to have the capability to fight against Russia. But Biden also clarified that there is no consensus on long-range weapons yet. Well, for months, Zelensky has been pressing for permission to use the long-range weapons to conduct deeper strikes into Russia. But the West has remained extremely reluctant on that demand.
In foreign policy, there's never I never changed my mind. Right now, there's no consensus for long-range weapons.
What would have to happen for you to change your mind on that?
I'm not going to speculate.
What's the consensus on the Ukraine victory from the Quad meeting? The consensus on the Ukraine victory plan from the Quad meeting?
We're going to stay with Ukraine. We're going to make sure they continue to have capability.
Along with Biden, the leaders of Germany, France and Britain also voiced their resolve to keep up support for Ukraine. At a meeting in Berlin, the four leaders condemned Russia's continued war of aggression. In a joint statement, they asserted their resolve to continue supporting Ukraine in its efforts to secure a just and lasting peace. Meanwhile, the IMF has approved a $1.1 billion payout for Ukraine, which it says will be used to provide budget support to the country. The loan is a part of an ongoing four-year, $15.5 billion program, which was approved last March. And as mediation efforts continue, Russia and Ukraine carried out a new exchange of prisoners of war, each side bringing home 95 prisoners in a UAE brokered deal. Both the sides released footage of the prisoners' homecoming as well. Well, NATO says it cannot confirm South Korean intelligence that the North Korea is deploying large-scale troops to aid Russia's war effort in Ukraine. Earlier, Zelensky had also made similar claims, describing it as a first step to a world war. Amid reports of growing partnership between North Korea and Russia, France expressed concern, saying that an increase in North Korean cross-cooperation and military support to Russia is very worrying. Moreover, UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer said that if the reports are true, then it shows desperation in relation to Russia. Seoul spy agency said that North Korea could send 12,000 troops to support Moscow's war effort in Ukraine, with at least 1,500 special forces already in Russia's Far East and undergoing military training. The National Intelligence Service also released detailed satellite images that it said showed the first deployment. The NIS said it detected that between 8th and 13th October, North Korea transported its special forces to Russia through a Russian Navy transport ship, confirming the start of North Korea's military participation in Russia's war against Ukraine. It again said that a second transport operation is expected to take place soon. Well, South Korea's revelations comes days after the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky warned of North Korea's move. Tickles.
We see an increasing alliance between Russia and regimes like in North Korea. It's no longer just about transferring weapons. It's actually about the transfer of people from North Korea to the occupier's military forces. Obviously, in such circumstances, our relations with our partners need to be developed. The front line needs more support.
Following a meeting of NATO defense ministers, NATO chief Mark Rutte remarked that the alliance could not yet confirm claims made by South Korea intelligence on North Korea's troop deployment to Russia. Similar claims made by the Ukrainian president as well.
Table. So at this moment, our official position is that we cannot confirm reports that North Koreans are actively now as soldiers engaged in the war effort. But this, of course, might change. And anyway, even if North Korea is not physically there at the battlefield, then still they are helping to fuel Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine in every way they can, and together with others like Iran. China's playing a role here, obviously, and of course, Russia itself.
Well, shifting our focus, the race to power in the US, early in-person voting, which allows voters to cast their ballot ahead of the actual voting day, has begun in Louisiana. Early voting in Louisiana runs from October 18th to October 29th, excluding Sunday, which is October 20th. Well, as November 5th elections inches closer, Both the presidential contestants are in the battleground state of Michigan in an effort to sway voters that could tip the balance of the election. The Republican election presidential contestant Donald Trump talks about his plans to use tariffs to protect American jobs. Trump said that he would impose high tariffs on foreign-made automobiles that are sold in the U.S. He further goes on to say that he would impose tariffs on China if it invades Taiwan as well. Meanwhile, U.S. Vice President and Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris mocked Donald Trump during a rally event in Michigan on Friday. Harris accuses Trump of being unfit for the Oval Office as Trump has pulled out of interviews with several mainstream media outlets. Harris also spoke about her plans for an opportunity economy and cast her opponent as politically dangerous. Trump backfired at Harris and said that Harris is a loser who does not have the energy of a rabbit. Moving on, political drama is unfolding in Kenya. A high court has pulled a halt to the procedure of ousting the new impeached deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua. Just a short while back, a high court judge issued an injunction suspending the procedure till October 25th in response to Gachachua's legal team challenging his ouster as unfair and rushed. Just a short while before the court's intervention, Kenya's parliament had voted to replace the impeached deputy after President William Ruto appointed Interior Minister Kithure Kindiki as his number 2.
The vote on the nomination of Professor Kithure Kindiki to fill the vacancy in the office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya is as follows. Abstentions, nil. Noes, nil. Ayes, 236. Present and voting, as we had advised you earlier, the vote is overwhelmingly yes. So the nomination is herewith declared passed by the House.
Rigathi Gachagua was impeached and ousted from office after Kenya's Senate carried out an investigation into 11 charges that the deputy president was accused of. The leader had pleaded not guilty to all the charges and accusations against him and has repeatedly called the impeachment an unfair procedure against him backed by the president himself. However, Kenyans feel that the entire procedure has been disappointing and rushed.
No, for me, I feel the process was very fair because out of the 11 counts, they found the 5 counts. So that means there's something that was not adding up. His record was not clean. You know, him being the deputy president, he ought to have represented the interest of the national governance, not just the Murima. No. So that is where he really messed. He played with the tribal card. Yeah.
This regime is very disappointing. So next season or next election, we'll vote them out because the parliament or the legislature is being used by the executive to lure the deputy president. So it was unfair.